Welcome to Hari's Hobbies, the channel where we discuss the latest tech news and delve into newest tech products. Today, we're taking a look at why the GTX 1080 Ti is quite stupid because of how overpriced it is and how the GTX 1180 is the future. But before we delve into that, make sure to hit the subscribe button if you guys would like to stay updated with the latest tech news related to PCs and gaming. So, what's so bad about the GTX 1080 Ti? The performance is stellar, right? Well, that is true, but the only problem is its price. Right now, the lowest price that you can buy the GTX 1080 Ti is a whopping $850, which is $150 over MSRP. Now, this is a lot better than before when it costed like $1,100, $1,200, but this is still an outrageous price and doesn't really make sense to buy right now. And on top of this, the 10 series is about to be outdated very soon, so it doesn't really make sense to buy an almost outdated card in an overpriced situation. When a series is about to go outdated, you would actually expect to be able to buy the card for underpriced and really good deals. And because of that, it really doesn't make sense to buy a GTX 1080 Ti right now, given the current price situation and the proximity to the next generation of GPUs from Nvidia. But how exactly is the GTX 1180 going to perform in the first place? Well, there was a rumor a couple of weeks ago. Now, this is just a rumor, so make sure to keep that in mind. But what this rumor is suggesting is that the GTX 1180 is going to perform very similarly to the GTX 1080 Ti. So here's the specs that the rumor is suggesting. First of all, it's going to go from the Pascal architecture to Turing architecture, and its process is going to change from the 16nm process found on the GTX 1080 Ti and all the other 10 series cards to the 12nm process. On top of this, the die size is actually going to increase from 314mm squared on the GTX 1080 to 400mm squared. But this die size increase is more than worth it for sure. As for CUDA cores, the GTX 1080 has 2560 CUDA cores, and this new GTX 1180 is supposed to have 3584 CUDA cores, which is identical to the CUDA cores of the GTX 1080 Ti. So in that standpoint, the GTX 1180 is pretty much identical in performance with the GTX 1080 Ti. The GTX 1080 has 8.7 teraflops of performance, the GTX 1080 Ti has 11.3 teraflops, but the GTX 1180 is supposed to have 13 teraflops of performance. Also, there is supposed to be a huge upgrade in memory because of the utilization of the new GDDR6 memory. On the GTX 1080 Ti, there is 11GB of GDDR5X memory. On this new GTX 1180, there is supposed to be anywhere from 8 to 16GB of memory, but this is GDDR6 memory, so the performance should be exponentially better. The memory speed is going to go from 11 gigabits per second on the GTX 1080 Ti to 16 gigabits per second on the new 1180. Finally, as for memory bandwidth, the GTX 1080 Ti has 484 gigabytes per second, and this new GTX 1180 is supposed to have 512 gigabytes per second. And on top of all this, the power consumption is much better. The GTX 1080 Ti's TDP is 250 watts, but the TDP of the GTX 1180 is anywhere from 170 watts to 200 watts. So as you guys can see, it's more efficient and more powerful. Overall, the new GTX 1180 matches or exceeds the GTX 1080 Ti in almost all specs. And on top of that, it has better power consumption, GDDR6 memory, and a newer process. And as a result, the GTX 1180 should, in theory, perform better than the GTX 1080 Ti. So, what real-world performance does this exactly convert to? Well, this should be very similar to the performance of the GTX 1080 Ti. So pretty much all current games at 60 frames per second at 4K, and most games actually at 70 or 80 frames per second. And on top of that, it should kill triple monitor 1080p gaming and QHD ultra-wide gaming. So if you guys are interested in any of those styles, then this may definitely be worth waiting for. But what about price? Well, I thought the price would be higher because of the current cryptocurrency mining situation and the RAM situation. But according to this leak, the GTX 1180 is only supposed to cost $700, which is the same MSRP that the GTX 1080 came out for. So it's really good value. To put that in comparison, the GTX 1080 Ti costs $850 right now, and so this is a much better value, and so it's definitely worth waiting for if this does come true. Furthermore, after the Founders Edition of the GTX 1080 was released for $699, a couple months later, the third-party variants of that card actually came out for an MSRP of $599. So we may see a similar trend on the GTX 1180. So the GTX 1180 from companies like MSI, EVGA, Gigabyte, and Asus might only cost $599 as opposed to $699, so you guys may even be able to save more money there. But what about the RAM pricing and the GPU cryptocurrency mining situation? Well, first of all, as for RAM prices have been going up for over a year now, but the Nvidia GPUs have only been going up since the beginning of this year after the Ethereum boom. So as a result, I don't really think RAM affects the GPU price too much. Like for example, RAM prices were much worse than what they are right now in November and December of last year, but Nvidia GPUs were actually still being offered for MSRP or even lower in those months. So as a result, I really don't think RAM price has too big of an effect on the GPU market. And as for cryptocurrency mining, GPU mining is still definitely profitable and viable, but there's simply not that huge hype around it, and it's not an easy way to make money anymore. It's more of a long-term process. And as a result, there's much less demand from GPU miners for gaming graphics cards, and thus there's less demand from GPU miners, and so the prices should hopefully be better. Therefore, I really believe that this pricing is quite reasonable and expectable from Nvidia. So what about the release date though? When is this new GPU going to come out? Well, obviously we don't have any solid proof, but actually at GTC, Gamers Nexus was able to get in contact with SK Hynix, who is the memory producer for Nvidia GPUs, and they told Gamer Nexus that they were going to be ramping up their production for GDDR6 memory in just 3 months. Now, GTC occurred at the end of March, and so this would suggest that SK Hynix is going to start their GDDR6 memory production at the end of June. And if SK Hynix is ramping up their production, that probably means that Nvidia is coming out with their next generation of GPUs soon after. So I think we can expect these new cards in the end of July or August, so pretty much in the mid to end of summer. This is actually what an article on Tom's Hardware and the rumors suggest, so this is probably what's happening. And plus, Nvidia is known for their 2 to 3 year cycles, so it does coincide with the past as well. So, should you wait? Well, in my opinion, I definitely think that you guys should wait. I think the only reason that you guys shouldn't wait is if there is a crazy deal on the GTX 1080 Ti, like for $600. But I don't really see that happening in the imminent future, so I think our best bet is just to wait for the GTX 1180. Also, you guys should keep in mind that even if the GTX 1180 isn't as good as what these rumors suggest, once the GTX 1180 comes out, the 10 series graphics cards would become outdated, and as a result, the GTX 1080 Ti would further drop in price. So, even if the GTX 1180 doesn't perform as well as it is being suggested by this rumor, it is still definitely worth waiting because the GTX 1080 Ti will drop in price once the GTX 1180 and 1170 and all those other cards come out. And this is not just true for the 1080 Ti. This is true for all 10 series cards once the next 11 series cards come out. So any of you guys considering to buy any 10 series card right now should consider waiting just to save a bit of money or even upgrading to the 11 series. Overall, the GTX 1080 Ti provides awesome performance. However, it is really overpriced right now and it really doesn't make sense to buy it. And on top of this, the GTX 1180 is coming out very soon and it is rumored to have pretty much identical performance but at a much better price. So, you guys should definitely consider waiting for the new GTX 1180 before making any rash decisions that you may regret soon. So, what do you guys think? Do you guys think that the price situation for the GTX 1080 Ti will get better, or do you think it's just better to wait for the GTX 1180? Make sure to post down below in the comments what you guys think, because I do read all my comments and I'm curious as to what you guys think, so make sure to post your thoughts. Also, if you guys like this video, then make sure to drop a like, and make sure to hit that subscribe button if you guys would like to see more videos just like this every single day. But until next time, bye.